Good morning, students. I am Mrs. Juhi Srivastava and I am going to teach you English for class 12th. Children, we all know that WHO has declared Corona as an epidemic. So, our government has asked us all to stay home, stay healthy, and stay safe. But our studies will continue. So, I'll ask you all to be ready for studies online. Children, I'll ask you all to download Pathshala app where you'll get your books. For class 12th, we have two books. One is Flamingo and the other is Flamingo is your main book, textbook, and Vistas is your supplementary reader. So children, before we start, I always start with poetry because it's a little light, like a warm-up kind of, and like it appeals our heart to our heart, and we enjoy poetry more. But to enjoy poetry and literature, children, we must have knowledge about figures of speech and literary devices. So children, will start from simple to complex, like from easy to difficult, from known to unknown. And children, we will just have a quick refresher of our knowledge and understanding of literary devices. Children, why do we use literary devices? There are multiple reasons. Children, some of the main reasons for using literary devices is it embellishes language, makes language colorful, gives variety to language, beautifies language, and writers very often use it for pointed effect to very clearly show their thoughts and sentiments. And children, to understand things on the deeper level, and children, it makes things more interesting and reading of literature a more enjoyable experience. So children, let us start. We'll start with simile, and simile comes from the word similar. I will discuss simile and metaphor simultaneously because both the literary devices are comparative devices where two unlike things are compared. So sometimes children, they get confused between the simile and metaphor, but very clearly there are three and four characteristics of simile and metaphor. Let us start. Simile comes from the word similar. So children, two things are different but they share one common feature. I'll give you a very simple example. Rashmi is as beautiful as moon. Let us have this sentence. Rashmi is as beautiful as moon. So in case of a simile, it's very easy to locate, analyze, find a simile. It's the simplest. In case of a simile, children, the comparison is very explicit, very open, very obvious because we use words like, as, and so. In case of metaphor, it's not so. So children, for example, I said Rashmi is as beautiful as moon. We use the word as to show the similarity between the two unlike things, that is, Rashmi is a girl and the other is a heavenly body. Sometimes we think comparison to be a case of simile, which is incorrect. For example, if I say Rashmi is as beautiful as Kavita, it's not a case of simile because here the comparison is between two like things. Both are girls, both are human beings. So this is not an example of simile. In case of metaphor, the similarity is, the comparison is implied. It's not open. Like here it is explicit. Explicit means like obvious, and it is implied here. It's subtle. You have to reach there. You have to find the commonality between the two unlike things. We don't use like as in so in case of metaphor. Every simile can be transformed or converted into a metaphor by removing the words like as and so. Rashmi is as beautiful as moon. Just remove as beautiful as. Simply say Rashmi is moon. Beautiful like Rashmi is moon. This is metaphor. Rashmi is beautiful like moon or as beautiful as moon. This is simile. So every simile can be converted into a metaphor. Number 3. Often there is a misunderstanding. People think just because we use like it's open comparison in case of simile, we think that simile is direct comparison, which is untrue. Actually, metaphor is direct. Simile is explicit. It's very clear, but it's not direct, because in case of metaphor we say Rashmi is moon. It's direct. Nothing comes in between. In case of simile we say Rashmi is as beautiful as moon. But in case of metaphor we straight directly say she is moon. So metaphor is direct comparison and simile is indirect comparison. Now children, as I told you that every simile can be compressed into a metaphor and every metaphor can be expanded into a simile. Just use like as and so, a metaphor becomes simile. Just remove like as and so from the sentence, whichever word is there used, and it becomes a case of metaphor. So I hope now it's clear. I'll give you some examples of simile. Like children, we say she has the gait of a peacock. Like both, one is a bird, the other is a human being, but the common feature between the two is the gait, the way you walk. Peacock walks in a very graceful and dignified way. It's not clumsy. So this is simile. Now children, you have to be very particular about the spellings of simile, because very often children misspell the word simile. The spelling, the correct spelling of simile is S-I-M-I-L-E, not I. Sometimes children write L-I-E-L-Y, but it is L-E. Children, I'll give you some examples, some more examples. Our soldiers are as brave as lion. So lion is an animal, soldiers are human beings, and the common feature is both are very brave. The water well was as dry as bone. Bone is supposed to be something very dry, because the well was very dry. Just to show the intensity or the degree of dryness, the writer has used this the common feature between the two unlike things, that is dry. Both are very dry. Which are the two things? One is well, the other is bone. Now children, he is as cunning as fox. So a fox is known for its cunningness. So he is as cunning as fox. Now children, I'll give you some more examples, because this is very common and it comes in the examinations. Children, there are many literary devices and figures of speech. Some of them are very common, they come in examinations, but children, if you know, knowing more is never bad, knowing less is. So if you know more and more, children, you can appreciate and admire literature, and you can develop that taste, what we call as literary aptitude. You will develop that and you will like to read books, because without the knowledge of literary devices you cannot enjoy reading. So children, here there are some more cases of simile. For example, the beggar on the road was as blind as bat. Then during exams, students are busy as bee. You must have seen bees are constantly buzzing, very active, hyperactive. So children are very busy during exams. So these are some examples of simile. Now children, I'll give you some examples of metaphor too. Here, like, her dance is a great poem. Her dance is a great poem. Like, whose dance? The girls dance. And it's a great poem. So her dance is compared to a poem. My conscience is my barometer. Like, my measuring tool. It's like a barometer. His words are like pearls of wisdom. Okay, so words have been likened to pearls of wisdom. So here again, the writer has not used for comparison the words like as in. So his words here, this is simile. This is not metaphor. So my conscience is my barometer. This is one example of metaphor. So children, now what is the purpose of using simile and metaphor? Now both the things are used for embellishment and decoration. That is the main purpose, to highlight sometimes and to make language more interesting and colorful. Now with that children, I hope you are very clear about knowledge of simile and metaphor. I hope your concept is clear now, because I have very often seen children getting confused between simile and metaphor. I would like to recapitulate the whatever knowledge learning we had in the last few minutes. Children, one is comparison between two unlike things, in both the cases, simile and metaphor. Then simile is open comparison or explicit comparison. It's very obvious because we use words like as in so, whereas in case of metaphor, it is like subtle, it is implied, it's not explicit, it's implicit. You have to find that similarity. Then third here, simile is indirect comparison, because we say she is beautiful like moon, like there is some distance. Whereas in case of metaphor, it's direct. We say she is moon. We don't say like there is a poem in class earlier. We had it in our syllabus, mirror. In the third stanza, there it started. The first line was, "Now I am a lake. I am not like lake. Now I am a lake." So this is metaphor. And children, the fourth characteristics is comparison and contrast between simile and metaphor is like one case simile. Every simile can be compressed into a metaphor, and every metaphor can be compressed into a simile. So these are two basic literary devices, figures of speech. So in for today we will have this much, and in our coming videos we will further for some videos, a couple of videos, we will devote to learning of literary devices, which is a must for you to enjoy literature more. So to be continued. Thank you so much.